This week on the Analog Circle podcast, we get the alleged price for the Nintendo Switch 2, and we also find out it could be more than one to choose from. We get more details and specs about the alleged PS5 Pro due to more leaks from Insomniac, allegedly. We could be getting some news very soon about EA bringing back NCAA Football. And we get some small details on the upcoming sci-fi RPG Exodus. Thank you guys for being here for 192 episodes of the Analog Circle podcast. Welcome. Definitely want to thank you guys for being here as always. So, without further ado, you guys already know the drill. If you want to be a part of the upcoming episode of listener feedback, you can do that two different ways. You can either call in at 380-0281, or you can email the show, and the email address is simply theanalogcirclepodcast@gmail.com. I know I've been missing the feedback episodes. I know I have. I'm very much so aware of it, but please believe me when I tell you we are going to get it on track eventually. So without further ado, guys, man, I'm not trying to waste y'all time. Let's go ahead and get into what we all come here for, and that is the gaming news. The gaming news that went down. So I got this first story to start us off from Eurogamer. So let's get started off with one of my most anticipated games of 2024, which is Star Wars Outlaws. Now, initially, the game was supposed to release before the current fiscal year ended, which is March 31st, 2024. But on October 26, 2023, Eurogamer wrote an article that said, quote, "A mystery large game will now launch in Ubisoft's next fiscal year, meaning sometime after next April." End of quote. So you fast forward to present day, a Disney Parks blog post may have let the beans slip out of the bag, at least timeline-wise, on when the game will release. So the post said, and I quote, "Star Wars Outlaws, the open-world Star Wars game, is set to release late this year." End of quote. So usually when a game is said to release late in the year, it's usually between, of course, September and December. But it is an update to this story. Ubisoft did come out and reasserted the general 2024 time frame. So they're trying to say that don't put it in a particular month or time of year. Just know that it will be releasing sometime this year. The only thing that I care about, and this is one of my most anticipated games of the year, Star Wars Outlaws. I saw that during the Ubisoft show. They had a strong show last year. And looking at that game, oh my gosh. I said, man, I said it when I saw it. I said, this may do what Starfield was supposed to do. Because when they did that galaxy jump and you were in a whole nother atmosphere, it got me so excited. On top of the graphics, on top of the different decisions that you're going to be able to make. Remember, she went on the run. She was supposed to have paid those credits, but she didn't pay those credits. She said, man, the heck with what you asking me to do. I go on the run, get in my spaceship and get the heck out of here. And that's just what the heck her and her fairy little friend did. So when I saw that, I said, good gosh, I think Ubisoft has one when it comes to this game. So of course, we'll have to wait and see if it does pan out that way, but that is definitely one of the games that I am anticipating the most. I got the question of the week. I already got it, but this is definitely my most anticipated game of 2024. Let's go ahead and move on into the next story. And this next story, I actually got this from WCCF Tech. So let's take a stroll down that infamous Rumor Boulevard.
Rumor has it there's something that only I know.
That's right. Now, this week's rumor, yet again, stems from the Insomniac leak, more so from Wolverine. So it looks like the PlayStation 5 Pro is likely to support AI upscaling in some way, according to slides which detail some of the tech the Wolverine game will feature. So here are some of the features that are being investigated. Alongside film quality, you have facial animation, better destruction, real-time damage, and regeneration, real-time global illumination, dynamic weather, real-time global illumination. No, I said that. Dynamic weather, foliage, deformable surfaces, and improved locomotion. Now, the game is also, according to WCCF Tech, going to feature 60 frames per second base frame rate in performance ray tracing mode on the PlayStation 5 Pro. But as always, take these rumors with a mustard seed of truth. But when you go over that list of all of these different things that this game is going to feature with the PlayStation 5 Pro, you guys know my stance. I am on record saying that I don't think I'm going to get the PlayStation 5 Pro because I don't think it's going to be worth the money. But if this report is true, that this game is going to feature 60 frames per second, with ray tracing mode on, I don't know. I might have to change my tune a little bit when it comes to something like that. And then these other features, illumination, real-time global illumination, dynamic weather. I mean, we get those things already, as it were. So, I mean, I'm trying to figure out the only thing that would amaze me, and I've been waiting for this to happen since the Dreamcast days, when they used to use the day and date to actually put inside of the console, so the console could remember which day it was. Like, I don't know if you guys remember this, but back in Let's Get Ready to Rumble, whenever you played the game on, let's say, like Christmas, December 25th, the characters would actually have like Christmas hats and the ring would be like Christmas themed, things of that nature. So for me, I've been waiting to see when we will get to the point, and I think Flight Simulator might have done it, the latest one, but I'm trying to wait for the time when for me, dynamic weather would be actually taking the location that you are at and actually having the game mimic the kind of weather that you're having in your surrounding area. I think that would be absolutely amazing. Could that happen? Would it happen? I don't know. I don't think so, but it would be awesome to see. Then you hear about other features that they're talking about, film quality, which to me, I'm still playing God of War, Ragnarok, and I'm about 27 hours in now. teetering on 30. I think I'm closer to 30 hours at this point, 30 hours into the game. And that game continues to look like a movie. It's absolutely astonishing. So if we're talking about Wolverine not being a cross-gen game and them talking about one of the features is getting it to film quality, that really piques my interest, especially when you're talking about this game running on the PlayStation 5 Pro. Then talking about real-time damage. That's another thing that I have been infatuated with ever since, Red Faction. When Red Faction was around and you saw that destruction on level 10, it was something we had never seen in gaming at that time. I just knew that other developers were going to take advantage of that kind of technology and make the buildings actually crumble and tear down. Matter of fact, on a side note, if you are looking for that kind of feature, actually seeing some crazy, amazing destruction in a game, the game, and it's actually called Teardown on PlayStation 5. I'm sure it's on Xbox Series X as well. That game, the destruction in that game is unbelievable. So if you've been wanting something to show off the PlayStation 5, there's plenty of games to show off the power of that console. But if you're looking for a game where you can actually see destruction, buildings crumbling in amazing detail, definitely check out Teardown. I think it's like $30. But getting back to Wolverine, so hearing about these different the destruction and facial animation, deformable surfaces. Golly, it really gets me excited. Not just for the PlayStation 5 Pro, but for Wolverine as well, because I'm sure that some of these features, if they will be using the PlayStation 5 Pro to its max, that's 60 frames per second with ray tracing being on, allegedly, again, according to WCCF Tech, that is unbelievable. But again, we will have to wait and see if this is true. So, for the sake of time, let's go ahead and move on into the next story. So let's take a step back to Ubisoft, because if you were interested in Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, there will be a demo available to download on January 11th. Now, the game will run up to, listen to this, it's going to run up to 120 frames per second and 4K resolution on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. And it's going to run at 1440p at 60 frames per second on Xbox Series S. So I think that is phenomenal. 120 frames per second. I also believe, to be fair about those specs, this game is also going to be available on the Switch. So it's not pushing the graphical meter that much, but I will say this game looks awesome. I was very enthralled. Again, just going back to Ubisoft's show, when they showed this game off, I was very interested in the game, and I believe the game is going to be like $50, so it's not even a full $70. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe they actually had a time come out where you can probably play the game for at least between like 30 and I believe 40 hours. So if you were wondering if it was a smaller game, if you were going to be able to beat it in 12 to 15 hours, that does not seem to be the case. But I am sure, just to put this caveat out there, they didn't say this in the article, but I'm sure that that's probably including trying to get all of the extra side missions done, finding different relics and things of that nature that will make the time of the game expand out to that 30 to 40 hour mark. But just wanted to put that out there. But let's go ahead and move on into the next story. So this next story, I actually got it from Dex. It's called Dexerto. It's spelled Dexerto. I think this is my first time ever using them as a reference. So this is Oh man, now this was crazy. Xbox has decided to start 2024 off, not in your living room or your bedroom, with games, but in your kitchen. Because the Xbox Series S toaster is available to purchase at Walmart for $39.99. Let that sink in. Oh my gosh. $39.99 for a Xbox Series S toaster. Now, this thing comes with actually a couple of features. It fits 2 slices of bread and can be switched to accommodate larger items like bagels. It has 6 heating settings, a timer, a clock, and a defrost button if you freeze your bread. But the main feature is it actually burns the Xbox logo onto your toast. And I'm going to be honest. Oh my gosh, Microsoft, you mother lovers. Oh man, these jokers showed me this online. I went to Walmart because I didn't believe it. I said, ain't no way they did this. There ain't no doggone way. But I have to say, man, I don't know. I might get this. I don't know. I might have to pick this up, man. It's such a novelty item. Actually, I'm looking right now as I'm sitting here recording this podcast in my office. I am looking at my Xbox Series X refrigerator right now. And I actually really like this fridge. I keep my waters in there. It actually keeps them cool. I was shocked. I thought it was going to be more of a novelty than anything. And it was going to be like bare minimum of keeping your water or your soda or whatever you kept in it cool. I mean, this thing is really, I reach for the waters, brothers and sisters. And it's actually a cold drink. So I might have to complete the set, brothers. They in the kitchen heavy right now. They got a refrigerator. They got a toaster. What they gonna come out with next? A mini microwave? You never know, man. But this right here for $40. As a matter of fact, I think people are actually selling them for more than they cost right now. I think these things are actually kind of in demand, in the secondhand market. So I went to Walmart just to see. Like I said, I saw it on Walmart. When I saw the article at Dexerto, I said, nah, ain't no way. This got to be an early April Fool's joke that these guys are playing. But went to Walmart.com and that joker was sold out. O-U-T. I couldn't believe it. And I'm going to be honest with you, man. That little X on the bread with the circle around the X. Listen, brothers, y'all know I'm an Xbox fan at heart. I love the Xbox. Don't love them so much right now. They got to kind of get it together, but I still am going to stand on Xbox is coming. They're coming. Matter of fact, they got the marketing rights for Star Wars Outlaws, as a matter of fact. So I'm very interested to see what they're going to do with that, if they're going to have any bonus content or things of that nature. But my only point, besides all of that, Xbox is coming. And if you want some toast with an X on it, or be able to get some bagels and put them in a toaster and toast them before you're leaving out with some cream cheese on it, then you can buy this toaster at Walmart, I guess, once they get them back in stock. I did not see this one coming. Man, oh man. Let's go ahead, man, and let's move into the next story. So we got this next story from Gaming Bible. So in Nintendo news, according to Kiaun, his name is Kantan, it's spelled Kantan. He's a analyst. He's a games analyst. Actually, it's according to Kantan games analyst, Dr. Serkan Toto. Not only does he believe the Switch 2 will release this year, which, that's not hard to believe. It'll be, 7 years old this year, if I'm not mistaken. But he also believes it will retail for $400. Now, that's a little steeper than I was expecting for Nintendo to go. He also reports that the Switch 2 game prices will be $70 as well. Now I gotta be, Nintendo. I have to say this, man. I feel like they're robbing me. Now, of course, I don't know what the Switch 2 is going to be thus far, but I can say one thing almost for sure. It is not going to be nearly as powerful as a PlayStation 5 and a Series X. It is not, because Nintendo is not in that game anymore. Nintendo was off to the side doing their own thing. They're probably going to have something that's going to be between the PS3 and PS4 power, somewhere around there. It was even reports that were coming out earlier this week that Nintendo isn't even really changing the Switch's design up much. It's kind of going to be like a rendition or not even a reimagining. They're kind of just allegedly supposed to be pretty much keeping the Switch the way that it is already. So already I'm like, that's a bit of a strike. But the $70 for something that is not pushing the envelope like the Series X and the PlayStation 5, I'm going to have a bit of a problem with that. Of course, we got to wait to see what the games look like. And some people will say, well, that's just the standard, Kiaun. That's just the new standard for games. I understand that, but I can at least understand it a little more when you're using cutting edge technology. I mean, anytime Sony is coming out saying Spider-Man 2 cost $300 million plus to make, you can understand why they're charging $70, even though I think that is way overpriced for that kind of, I'm not even going to say the quality. I just think that's overpriced for any kind of game. But then when you think back to the last episode, it cost $39 million for a remaster of the original Spider-Man. So these are just the prices that we are living with right now as far as, well, not me particularly, but these companies, what they're living with to have to produce these games. But it is no way I can imagine that Nintendo will be making any games that cost over $150 or $200 million. I do not think it's going to happen. So when you talk about $70 for your games, I kind of, at least at this moment, I feel like I'm going to feel like I'm being cheated. But then again, I don't have to buy the Switch 2 if I feel that way. That's the beauty of being able to choose what you want to buy and what you want to not buy. But anyway, I'm going to continue on with some more of this Switch news. So it's going to allegedly, the prices will be $70. Again, not hard to fathom that. Also, according to Soldier Delta, Nintendo will release two versions of the Switch. One will be a standard version and the other will be an all digital version. So this is what I'm thinking. Now, if this is true, which this seems like the new trend that is going on, Microsoft is doing it, PlayStation is doing it, I can't imagine Nintendo would not do it. So if we're talking about $400, I'm thinking, at least in my mind, that has to be for the physical model. And the digital model will probably be somewhere around $350 if I'm trying to think of it realistically. But we shall see what happens in the near future. I just don't think it's far-fetched that it'll be two different versions and that they're not going to be as powerful as the Series X and the PlayStation 5. Would I want that to happen? I absolutely would love for that to happen. I don't even think it's going to be as powerful as a Series S at this point in the game, which would be crazy that Nintendo would come out on the market, because you figure this is probably going to release sometime between September and December, the holiday season. Can you imagine them coming out with a console that costs more than the Series S, and the Series S is more powerful than their hardware, and they would have the nerve to do something like that? Y'all know Nintendo will try it. I definitely feel like they will, but the thing that Nintendo has And even though all of their games don't appeal to me, they definitely have some iconic characters over there that sell. So that's one thing that they have. Of course, Xbox, they're continuing to get their footing this generation. And again, I do believe that they will, have it together, and they're going to make some amazing games this year. I think this is their year where they really start to change it around and have things come to fruition that we actually look at and say, wow, I might have to get a Series X now because they have some games that appeal to me. But Nintendo, we shall see if this does happen. I am leaning towards all of this information being true. The $400 price point, the digital version, the physical version, and definitely the $70, because if I'm not mistaken, their games are already $70 right now. So why wouldn't they be for the next generation? Let's move on into, hold on. No. I actually still got some more Nintendo news here. So, the all digital version, oh shucks. I feel so stupid. I wrote this down what they said it was going to be. So the all digital version will be, and this is allegedly $400, and the standard version will be, again, allegedly $450. Now the release date is, according to rumors, supposed to be, it says September 24th. 2024. But if for some reason something falls through, then the other date that they're saying it could fall under is November 3rd. So $400 for the digital. Yeah, I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong. I mean, according to this report, the digital was going to be $400. I'm all tongue tied after this. The digital was going to be $400. Man, hold the heck up. $450? You're going to be as much as a PlayStation 5 digital version? Yo! Man, hey, Nintendo, I think y'all are bugging. Of course, this is not official, but I don't know, man. I don't know if Nintendo is going to be able to get away with that. I know Nintendo got some classic characters, but you're talking about $400 to $450 for a product that is less powerful than some consoles that by that point in time may be down to $350. We saw the Xbox Series X, and I understand it might not have set the world on fire, but it did sell out. Shockingly enough, it did sell out. Got to give them their credit. It was no longer available at Walmart or I don't know about Best Buy, but Walmart, they said they had sold out, if I'm not mistaken, of the Series X when it was $350. So, I mean, you're talking about being $50 more than that console possibly at that time later on in the year. Man, I don't think this is the game Nintendo wants to play. No pun intended. I don't know. Are you paying $400 for a Nintendo Switch 2? I mean, of course we got to see what the specs are, but I don't know. That's a little dicey. Nintendo's whole identity over the last several years or several generations has been to be the cheaper console, out of the three. So them actually going this route, I don't know, but I feel like I've spent a lot of time on this one. So I'm going to move on into the next story, but that's kind of wild. But this next story that I got it from Gaming Bolt. So this is in more news. RoboCop Rogue City developer Kiaun have been getting requests for a new Game Plus feature, and the developer took to X or Twitter to respond and said, quote, "Many citizens have been asking about a new Game Plus for RoboCop Rogue City. We've heard you, so stay tuned for more information on this topic in the weeks to come. Until then, stay out of trouble." End of quote. Now, what I find quite impressive with this development studio, which I believe started back in 2013, is they were making some abysmal games in their early days. Like Rambo, the video game, that scored a 3 out of 10. Robot Rescue Revolution scored a 4 out of 10. And Ocean Runner got a 6 out of 10. But then you fast forward to RoboCop Rogue City, and they're sitting at a user score of 8.5. So it seems like these guys have got it together. They're on a very, very good trajectory. I believe they did do a Terminator game as well, where people actually enjoyed that too. So this game, RoboCop, Rogue City, I'm definitely going to pick this up. I do like the fact that it looks like the new trend. Well, it's always been a trend, but it looks like it's becoming more of a trend of, actually having these games get New Game Plus implemented into them. I really, really like that. One of the first games I remember to ever do that was, I believe for me, it was Star Wars Force Unleashed. When I had beat that game and started over and had all of my force powers and things like that, man, it just made the game so much better. So I do like this trend. But again, if you are a fan of RoboCop Rogue City, stay tuned, because Kiaun will have some news coming out, possibly on a New Game Plus mode. Let's move on into the next story. So this next story, I got it from Push Square. So a little over 2 years ago, it was rumblings, it was rumblings that EA Sports would be bringing back college football after a lengthy hiatus, but nothing ever released until today, because according to a report by 24/7 Sports, this may change this week, because the site is claiming, quote, sources, end of quote, have said that new information about the title will be unveiled during Michigan's championship match on Monday, January the 8th. Now, the game is allegedly due out this summer, but no official release date has been given. So if you were an NCAA fan, if you love the college, the EA college sports game, man, this is big news, because I remember covering this, and I believe it had to do with a bit of the holdup had to do with actually paying some of the players that would appear in the game, actually paying them for their likeness to be in the game. So I know that was under a lot of scrutiny over 2 years ago, and nothing was really said. But now, like I said, maybe this Monday, tomorrow, we could possibly hear something during the Michigan game, which would be very, very dope. I was a fan of NCAA football. It played so much different than Madden, and I actually enjoyed it more than Madden. It just seemed like more fanfare in the stands, people excited, around in the crowd. I don't know. It was really a different kind of feel of a game. And they also said in that same report, from Push Square, that they will continue to push that narrative of that school, like the different things that they have at the schools, the different traditions that they have. They said they're going to continue to push that even harder to make sure that they're able to, make it a distinct difference between the NCAA games or the college game versus Madden. So very excited to see if this actually happens. And hopefully, speaking of that, because around that same time, 2K was saying that they were supposed to be making a football game. Now, it wasn't going to be the NFL, because we all know EA unfortunately has the NFL license locked up for another, I think, like 8 years at this point. So they weren't able to do anything in an NFL type of setting. But I believe the report did say that 2K would be able to use the players' their likeness in the game, but they just couldn't have it like actually being officiated, with the not officiated, but have it in like NFL stadiums or anything that pertains to the NFL. They wouldn't be able to do it. So they were trying to figure out how they were going to go about that. And hopefully, since this NCAA news is possibly going to break this week, hopefully sometime close in the near future, 2K will come out and talk about their plans about their football game. But let's go ahead and move on into the next story. Now, this next story, I got it yet again from Gaming Bible. So if you enjoyed Hogwarts Legacy, then I'm pretty sure you can't wait for their next project to release. Now, one interesting piece of info I found out about Avalanche Software, who were, of course, the people behind, the team behind Hogwarts Legacy. They actually had some help. They had a supporting studio helping them named Studio Gobo. It's spelled Gobo. I've never heard of these guys, but the work that they put in, and of course, I didn't play Hogwarts Legacy yet. It's a game that I plan on getting, but I can't speak on it personally. But the reception of this game has been amazing, especially in the Harry Potter community. It's like a love letter to any real Harry Potter fan, and people that aren't even Harry Potter fans, like myself, have said that the game was amazing. So anytime you have a studio coming in to give you that kind of work, that's an amazing feat. But the thing is, they are actually working on and hiring developers to work on an unannounced action adventure game being developed on Unreal Engine 5 and is said to be of AAA quality and will be multi-platform. Now, they are hiring right now for a lead designer and for a senior environment artist. This is actually pretty dope, man. I love to see teams that we don't really hear about much actually have success. Just like I was saying, the RoboCop team, what was it, Kiaun, I believe? They're finally starting to hit their stride after so many failed attempts, in the early beginnings of the company. But that just shows the growth. You got to give these guys some time to really figure it out. I mean, we were talking about it last week where Sony had closed down one of their studios, that made quite a few great games. They made two of them, actually. Actually, it was really one. I can't remember the name of the game that they made, but it was the studio that they closed down. They were on a trajectory that was shooting up, but they got their wings clipped early. So I'm just saying that, you just give these certain teams time and they can really turn it around. Give them time and a budget. Cause it was some podcasters, some YouTubers, even some articles that said that they would have loved to have seen RoboCop, Rogue City, excuse me, actually have a AAA budget, that it could have probably been even better, way better than what it was. And it even made Digital Foundry's list of I think an honorable mention as, a game with great graphics in it. So, having them have success, then having this new Studio Gobo, having success teaming up with, again, Avalanche Software, that just shows that, man, these teams, they're really, some of them, can't say all, but these teams are really starting to come into their own. So them actually having a AAA quality game releasing, we don't know when, but releasing sometime in the future, and it's going to be an action adventure game. It definitely gets me excited to see what they're going to be able to do. Let's go ahead, though, and move on into, this is quick news. This is just on a side note. CES is actually happening. It's going to be starting on January 9th, and it's going to run until January 12th, 2024, of course. And the rumor is, and I couldn't remember this at that time, but the rumor is that, PS5 Pro will be shown at the show. I think I did remember. Yeah, I should have said that early on. Just didn't think about it. My bad. But, yeah, it will be shown allegedly at CES, 2024, the PS5 Pro. Do y'all believe that? I absolutely do not believe that. I know that E3 is over. They're not doing it anymore, unfortunately. But I can't imagine Sony giving that kind of big news up, knowing that they have a show, or they possibly should have a show sometime later on this year. I can't imagine that they would give the goods out at CES, which what's so interesting about CES is that's where E3 was actually birthed out of. It was, these gaming companies, they would go to CES, but they weren't really getting that kind of shine at that show because it wasn't that kind of show. So they decided at that point in time, hey, we need to do our own thing. And E3 was born, out of CES not showing the gaming industry the love that they were hoping that CES would. So it would be very interesting to get a PlayStation announcement this big at CES with the PlayStation 5 Pro. I just don't think it's going to happen, but I will definitely be tuning in January 9th through the 12th just to see some of the other things that they could possibly have at the show. I'm just waiting for somebody to come out with a holographic television. Something that is 3D, but you don't need the glasses. And I was a huge supporter of 3D TVs. I couldn't afford a 3D TV, I'm be honest with y'all, but I did get the PlayStation 3 3D monitor, and I'm sitting here looking at it right now in the box with my 3D glasses in front of it and a pair of 3D glasses in the original box that I didn't even open. So I was hoping that would have taken off because I loved 3D. I thought it was unbelievable. And I would love to see that kind of technology come back maybe in a bigger and better type of way. But I guess we'll be waiting for that for some time, possibly, but you never know. But let's go ahead and move on into the next story. So I got this next story from Loadout, which is actually that's a new outlet. I haven't used them before, but I'm not sure if you guys remember a sci-fi RPG called Exodus that is going to be starring Matthew McConaughey. I believe it was shown. Yeah, it was shown at the Game Awards. It was that game. Well, a bit of info was released by the game's executive creative director named James Olhen. His name is spelled Olhen. I'm going to call him, pardon me, brother, if I got your name wrong, but James Olhen, who said, quote, "You're going to be able to make momentous decisions, and you're going to be able to see the results of those decisions over the course of years, decades, and even centuries." End of quote. Now, Brother James, Brother James, hey, listen, man, these are some bold claims. Now, again, look up this game, Exodus. It looks fantastic if you aren't familiar with it. It actually gives you a real Mass Effect vibe. Like it's actually taking a lot of different, not notes per se, but, inspiration, a lot of inspiration from Mass Effect. It looks very, very promising. Where they were saying that I believe like a day is like equal to a year, in this game. So you'll be losing your loved ones over a matter of, like 10 days, or was a day 100 years? I think it was one day was 100 years, something like that. It was equivalent to, and it was saying that you would be losing, like your loved ones, you could lose them in a day, and it changes so many different things, that can happen with the game. So it has like a fantastic premise, and don't quote me on that one day equals 100 years. I can't quite remember. But it looked very, very promising. It had a real buzz coming out of the Game Awards. But my only thing is when I hear these kind of claims, we've seen it happen to the best of them. Todd Howard went out there saying 100 zillion planets and all of this stuff, and it didn't come out to be that same way. It happened with the other game that they finally got it on track. What was his last name? Mary, I believe it was. Can't remember his first name, and I can't remember the game itself, but No Man's Sky, that was the name of it. They had a lot of buzz going into that, and he was hyping it up, saying you would be able to do so many different things. It released, and you couldn't do any of that stuff. So what I would tell this good brother James, man, don't go out here, brother, trying to make checks, make balances that you can't cover, brother. Because the thing that he said that I could have rocked out with him up until he said, and this was his quote, he says, you're going to be able to make momentous decisions and you're going to be able to see the results of those decisions over the course of years, decades. And I'm like, okay, I'm with you on that. But when he said even centuries, I said, I don't know. Now, ho. I might be reading this the wrong way. I might be reading into this the wrong way. This is, man, I'm so slow today. He's probably talking about literally inside of the game. These are inside of the game decisions that you're going to see happen. God, dog. Man, I am off my game.
Move this man!
Oh my gosh. Wow. Pardon me. It's the first show of the year. I can't even say I'm trying to get back. I've been back for months now. I messed up on that. Maybe this is true. Maybe it's very, very possible that in the game, according to the years and decades inside of the game and centuries inside of the game, you will be able to see the outcome of the decisions that you made, which would be awesome. That'd be incredible. We have the PlayStation 5. We have possibly the PlayStation 5 Pro coming up sometime this year, the Series X. These consoles are very powerful, and I understand they will never be PC powerful. I get that. But the graphics that these things are able to put up are staggering. Absolutely amazing. So thinking of it from that particular perspective, he might be telling the truth. I just don't want this brother to go out there and oversell a game that actually has some good buzz going right now. Just stay the course. Don't try to oversell it, and people will flock to your game. But we will see. That would be crazy as ever to know what your decisions actually, the outcomes of your decisions centuries later. That would be wild. But we'll see. Let's go ahead and move on to the next story. And we're about to think we're on the next to last story right now. No, this is the last story, the final story of this week. So I got this story from The Gamers. Now, Sony has filed a new patent. This was back in August, that will focus on getting gamers faster access to playing a game as soon as possible without having to wait for long downloads and patches. Now, the report says this would differ from pre-existing systems, which sometimes allow you to play early portions of the game while the rest installs, as it would separate the entire download into, it would separate the entire download into chunks, quote, discreetly, end of quote, installing each part as you progress through the game and predicting how long it will take for you to get through each part. So Sony has filed so many different patents. This is like the third one I've seen from them in less than a year. And of course, we always got to go back to the point that just because they're filing the patent, it doesn't mean that it's going to happen. But for me, I just had to I downloaded Saints Row, the new one. I did buy it. I bought it. I told y'all I was probably going to get it. And I folded because, like I told you guys, I am a Saints Row fan. So I downloaded that, and it also, I got the premium edition. I got that, and it came with Saints Row the third remastered for like the PlayStation 4 and the Series X. And I wasn't expecting it to. Came with it and came with like 3 other DLCs. And the game was like $18. So, golly, even if the game isn't great, I still didn't lose anything because I got Saints Row the third to fall back on. A better resolution to the game, better graphics. Digital Foundry went over the whole kit and caboodle. They were like very shocked at how much great work Volition actually did on the remaster of it. So even if Saints Row doesn't work out for me, I still got Saints Row the third to fall back on. But the thing that I was getting to was, having to wait for these downloads, man. It had to get up to, I think, like 60 or 70% before I could actually even start the game. I didn't start it, but it said, it's playable now. But I had to wait a long time for it to get to that point because it was like 67 gigs, somewhere around there, to download it. So if Sony can do something that can cut that even in half, to make it so you can actually play right away, then I absolutely invite it to the conversation, to actually happen, because having to wait, man, I just miss the days of being able to pop in a disc and the game just starts and you're able to go right away, get through all of the splash screens and hit the start button and you off to the races. I really miss that. So if they can do anything to actually remedy this situation, that would be perfectly fine by me. We already finally got the load times down. I know on the PS5, I can't speak to the Series X yet, but PlayStation 5, you load up a game, that thing it's not instant, but it's darn fast where you don't feel like you're waiting and waiting and waiting. It's not like a Grand Theft Auto 5, trying to boot up and, get you through. It's not any of that anymore. So, it's kind of taking it back to, it'll never be like the cartridge was back in the day where it was instant, but it's darn close. It's darn close. So again, if they can just do anything to cut out more of the download time before you can play, definitely do that stuff, Sony. But anyway, that is the end of the gaming news this week, which leads us into Video Game Theater. And on this week's Video Game Theater, we're going to take a look back at a classic, an absolute classic from 2018, which was a big year in gaming. And that is no other than Spider-Man 2018. And I believe we're going to pick up at a certain part where Spider-Man is going to be a good Samaritan and save a couple of people. So we will return again after this week's Video Game Theater. Stay tuned, guys.
Okay, wrapped up.
Thanks for that. Now I'm seeing an assault near you.
You're in luck, Yuri. Your favorite tough but lovable, grizzled, seen-too-much detective is in town.
What? No. You promised you wouldn't do that
Spider Cop.
Please, no.
So you're the snitch.
Back off, creep.
Yep, she's the one.
I said back off! Leave me alone!
Keep it quiet, lady.
Don't touch me!
Get away from her!
Right, Spider-Man.
How are we supposed to fight him up here, huh?
Walk away now, or she's dead!
Let me go!
All clear, ma'am.
I knew Jameson was wrong about you. You're a little weird, but you got a good heart.
Have you got somewhere to go?
I can take care of myself.
I'm sure you can, but just in case, there's a place called the Feast Center.
Seen it. I don't want charity.
They got the best wheat cakes in the city, hands down.
Mom used to make those. Haven't had any in a long time. I'll check it out. Thanks, Spider Guy.
It's Spider-Man. Oh well.
Insomniac Spider-Man 2018. Oh, man. It's up for Game of the Year that year, too. Man, I tell you, Insomniac, I can't say it enough. Such a big fan of them, such a big fan of how they were able to bring Spider-Man back from not necessarily the brink, because there was tons of Spider-Man games, but it was just no Spider-Man games that were excellent. And what Insomniac has been able to do with that character, with that franchise, has been unbelievable. Spider-Man. Gotta give him one more round of applause, man. Insomniac are wizards. So, with video game theater being in our rear view mirror, this actually brings us to our final section of the podcast, which is when I ask you guys the question of the week. And I know you guys saw it already. You heard me allude to it early on in the episode, but let's go over it officially. So, what is your most anticipated game of 2024? Now, I've told you guys mine early in the episode. I think it was the first story we covered, which is Star Wars Outlaws. And it's mainly because, like I said, graphics, y'all know graphically, man, I'm so shallow. If you got great graphics, you already got me 50% of the way there. If you got gameplay, oh man, that's really all I need. Story is great. Don't get me wrong. I want a great story, but gameplay and graphics, I can work with that, but, yeah, the reason why, again, and I already went over it early on, why I chose Star Wars Outlaws as my most anticipated game for this year is because of the things that it looks like it's going to be bringing to the table. Being able to fight, in space, having dog fights in space, with the different spaceships and things of that nature, being able to go from planet to planet, being able to go on a run and actually being wanted by the authorities. That really, that captivates me. And then the biggest thing for me is being able to make different decisions to have different outcomes. Of course, like I said, being on the run for not paying that certain amount of money that I still don't know if she was a crooked cop or whatever the case may be, but not giving them the money that she wanted and her actually putting, maybe could you consider it a bounty or whatever? They had the authorities on you. So those kind of things really got me excited and just had me feel like this could definitely be one of Ubisoft's best games to date. And I apologize, guys, if you have heard this noise in the background. It's actually my sump pump. It's going again. We got quite a bit of rain here in Baltimore yesterday, so it's always cutting on and off the whole time. So pardon me if you guys have been hearing that in the background. But that is the question this week. Again, just to repeat it, what's your most anticipated game of 2024? I would love to hear from you guys. You can either call in, and the phone number is 443-380-0281, and let your voice be heard. Or you can email the show, and the email address is simply the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com. I was your host, Kiaun Mitchell. And again, I want to truly thank you guys for being here. It always means so much to me. But before we officially wrap the show up and put that bow on it, always remember one thing. It is not about the consoles. It is about the games. So, man, listen, I'm hoping to get to you guys this week with the feedback episode. So I'm going to say Wednesday when we do it again, possibly. That's when I'll see you guys again. But until then, you guys take care. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.